Here we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome to
I'm so
Tomato Talk Live, our July 2025 episode. I'm Lauren,
I'm Jen. It's
and
wonderful to be here.
it is wonderful to be here. We have a very special guest tonight. She popped on a couple minutes ago. She's having a slight family emergency, so she will be with us, but she's running a couple minutes late. So as soon as she gets here, we will pop on because I know Jen and I sure have a lot of things we want to ask her, and I have no doubt that you guys do also. Her name's Ashley Esakin. She's from the Gardening in Canada YouTube channel, which has almost 140,000 followers.
Yes.
So if you aren't aware of her already, you will fall in love with her like Jen and I. Yeah, you will fall in love with her. So Jen and I are just going to wing it for a couple minutes, but before, just to wet your whistle, and then Jen and I can talk. I pulled up a short clip of hers, which kind of embodies who she is. Let's see if I can get that going. Okay, this is from one of her videos.
Well, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring as an influencer to tell you how to build a raised bed. I'm not saying it means much. I have a Bachelor of Science in Soil Science. I've been working in the world of agriculture for a decade, and I've been gardening since I was 5 years old with my grandma. By gardening, I mean 5-year-old Ashley's garden was mostly survival of the fittest. I'm a redhead, and so survival of the fittest for anyone in my life is definitely a thing. You can ask any of my ex-boyfriends. You gotta make it through some pain to get the gain of my presence and my glory. And
I love the personality.
Yeah. So adorable. Yes, me too. Me too. And so
how Jen she fits in little everywhere.
Yeah, she's so smart. She's an actual soil scientist. So we're going to talk about building and maintaining healthy soil tonight, but also she has so much content about not just soil. She knows all the things. She knows all the things, right, Jen?
Whereas I just guess and be like, I think this is what's happening and why this is working. She actually knows that it's working and why it's working, and she can tell you the science behind it. Like one big one that I saw,
making you feel dumb.
Yes, she says it in such a good way, or that it's just it all comes across like, oh, that's really cool. But she tells you like where, like what would you call them, like science-based not documentaries, but documents. Like she throws those up. The references. Tells you where she gets her information, or but, it's really neat.
We're wishing her well. She should be with maybe about 10 minutes or so. You guys what it is, I'll let her. I'm not sure if we're at liberty, but anyway, Jen and I are glad to be back with you all. Last Friday was the 4th of July here in the United States, and we're just on our way home from vacation, so we had to push it an extra week this week. But August, we are back to the first Friday, which I think is August 1st.
Yeah, it's August 1st, which is going to be like here before we know it. And we have...
Go ahead, you say it.
Craig LaHoulier's coming back.
Craig LaHoulier, co-founder of the Dwarf Tomato Project, author of a couple of books, including Epic Tomatoes, is going to be here with us. I think it's maybe his appearance. What'd you say?
And gardening and strawberries, which I'm successful with this year.
You are, huh? That's
yes,
great.
There are fruit on my plants.
Good.
Oh, and I've got one of those African blue basils in one of the hay bales or straw bales. Doing well. It's insane.
For those of you that are growing the African blue basil that I don't shut up about, how are they doing for you in the garden? Have they exploded? I know at the meetup, I gave some of you some seedlings. Jen gave you some seedlings also. And the things are like bushes.
Yeah.
They just have so many pollinators on it, and it's still early in the season, so just wait. Before we go any further, we want to take your comments, especially before Ashley gets here. We do have another prize tonight and another prize donated by the wonderful John Kramer. It's a $25 gift card to Tomato
Thanks,
Eden.
John.
So if you would like to win, we'll do the drawing at the end of the episode. Just type in hashtag tomato in the comments. Where's my little hash? There we go.
John Kramer, you are awesome.
Yes, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah. Type in hashtag tomato in the comments. You only need to do it once, and then we'll do a drawing at the end of the episode. So let's get to some comments. But Jen, how have you been doing? How's your year going so far?
It has its ups and downs. I had that aphid issue, but I've gotten it under control finally. But now that the heat and the drought's back, my plants they got some disease, which bums me out. And then I just don't even want to look at it.
I know. Isn't that the truth, though?
Is anyone else like me where I am just, I'm like, I'm gung-ho, April, May. I spend hours and hours and hours. Well, I have those 2 huge gardens, and I'm like, burning the candle at both ends. And then when it's actually time, like I've got harvestable fruit on my plants, but because they don't look as good as they did before, I just don't want to go into the gardens.
Well,
it's so sad. I'm ridiculous, I know. Like I went out yesterday.
Oops, I think Ashley's here, actually.
Oh, hi, Ashley!
Bring her on. That was.
Oh, no. We're so glad you're here and everything's okay, right?
Yeah, I knew it wasn't bad because when he called me, it was just, oh, can you just come pick me up? Yeah, okay.
I just showed the funniest clip from one of your videos and you missed it. So after the show, you can watch the replay. But it's one you posted a month ago, and you're talking about how your boyfriends and having to deal with a redhead, and then you play the song Angel.
In the arms of an angel.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah.
I just watched a video. I was telling Lauren beforehand where you said something about you wanted it wet, but not P. Diddy wet. I about lost it. I about peed my pants. I was like, oh, God, no, she didn't. Yeah, you did.
I'm chronically online, so I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
For those of you that don't know Ashley, and I would be surprised if you don't, but make sure you subscribe to her socials. She's at Gardening in Canada. She's got almost 140,000 viewers from all over the world. And I heard you say in a video recently that you have more followers from the United States than you do Canada.
Yeah, way over. Like I think 50% probably for Americans. Yeah, it fluctuates, but no, it's definitely. We just don't have the population here, right? Like there's just not that many people.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I told you I was going to fangirling too. I'm a big fan of not just your channel, but just you and the way you present science material, because I've been growing tomatoes for 30 years. I'm not a scientist. I can breed like amateur breeding, but I mean, you present things where I can understand it and in a really cute way.
Oh, I'm glad. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Make it accessible, make it fun.
And it is
make us smarter too.
Yeah. So for those of you writing comments, if you can do me a favor, and I don't usually ask this, but if you have a question for Ashley, if you can just put a Q in front of your comment, I'll try to make sure we get as many comments on the screen for her, because I know you're going to have some. Well, Ashley, before we go on, can you introduce yourself and your background?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So my name's Ashley. I'm up in Canada. The zones don't translate the same way. I'm about a zone 3, which is the equivalent to an American zone 4, very loosely related. So it's colder. And I've been gardening since I was like 5 years old with my grandma. That's where it all started for me. And then it was biology, plant science all through high school. I was obsessed with it, just all different shows and you name it. And then I went to university, and I went to the University of Agriculture and Bioresources, the University of Saskatchewan here. It's like one of the top 5 universities for agriculture.
Oh,
And
wow.
so there's people internationally that actually go to that college
wow.
specifically. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We got some pretty heavy hitters in that college. So I went there, and I initially was going to go just for agronomy, which is essentially plant science and soil science together.
Hmm.
And then more of the on a large scale. So that we're talking like big agriculture. I didn't go that route. I ended up falling in love with a professor. Her name's Dr. Fran Wally, and she is a soil scientist. I just loved her. I thought she was absolute boss. So I immediately changed majors, and I did a major in soil science, minor in plant science, and the rest was history. From there, I worked in various different summer students jobs, all of which were like research and development. And then I moved into research and development throughout my entire 20s. From around like late 20s, I started the YouTube channel, and it's just obviously taken off to the point where it is my full-time job pretty much at this
Is
point.
it good for you?
So yeah.
Yes, that is the dream, right, Lauren?
Yeah.
Yeah, someday. When did you say you started the YouTube channel?
I want to say it was so I started it a long time ago, if we're being totally honest, like very long time ago. Initially, like I think right out at university, but the internet wasn't ready for that sort of content. It was very heavily science based. I wasn't very good at presenting it. I wasn't good at making it digestible. I was talking like a educated person, which is ridiculous because I really am not that personality at all. So I was kind of, yeah, it wasn't the greatest. And then I also was not ready for the internet trolls. I was not ready for it. So I ended up quitting. But 2020 hit, and everyone started gardening. Everyone started doing plants.
Because of COVID.
Yeah. So my whole house has always been plants. My yard's always been garden. And so everyone in my immediate circle would always texting, calling, emailing, like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? And so I was in a group chat with a whole bunch of girls, all of which decided they're going to start gardening. And my one friend was like, you just need to make a YouTube video about the repeated questions that keep on being asked, and then just send it in the group chat. So I did that, but I had no intention. I did not think it was going to go anywhere at all, like literally at all. I filmed it on a camera, like on my phone, no mic, no nothing. And now here we are, I guess.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
clearly you've hit a nerve. I mean, I told Jen, you know all the things, but you present it in such a user-friendly, palatable way, and you're just so authentic and down to earth. You're addicting, basically, and you've got so much content. So
yeah, I was scrolling through it today
a few years ago, and I'm like, well, I'm not in Canada. And then I watched one episode. I'm like, oh, you don't need to be in Canada. She knows.
I know. Yeah, that was like the one thing that I get comments on a lot. I still think about it. I'm like, man, again, I didn't mean to start the channel, so I just named it whatever it was, and it was a poor choice, obviously, because gardening in Canada, it doesn't apply to just Canadians at all. So yeah, but oh well. I'm not going to change
I
it
just
now.
figured out today what geek crew meant, because I was thinking GEEK, and I'm like, what? Who are the geek crew? And then it's GIC.
GIC.
It's just like,
Wait, what? I missed it too.
I always say the geek crew, and it's the GIC, like GIC crew. I said GIC because that would make sense, like GIC, and then I said GIC crew like a few times, and then everyone was commenting. They're like, this is a missed opportunity. It should be geek. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I hear you say that in your videos, and I just assumed it's because we're all geeky about plants. I
Yeah,
I was
think
thinking,
so too. Yeah.
like,
yeah. That's fair.
I want to be a part of
It's the
the
same
crew.
thing. Yeah.
Me too.
I am a part of the geek crew.
I was going to say you are, but yeah. Subscribe button. That's all you need to hit.
I see we're already getting questions. I told
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Ashley, we've
Yes,
been
you
promoting this, and everybody's like, "Oh, we love Ashley. We love Ashley." So
Yeah.
it's a good crowd tonight.
That's crazy. Thank you.
Here's a member of ours from, if you don't know, by the way, it's your first time watching, Jen and I are co-admins of the group Tomato Lovers Collective and Swap on Facebook. So we do have members from there watching tonight too. Jennifer Bella's a fellow Canadian. Ashley, do you move your garden around yearly or work in the same space?
I work in the same space. Yeah, I don't. It's mostly, so I have two gardens technically. One is raised beds, and that's what's in the city. I'm in like your classic area, like it's backfilled with clay. I've got, or I had two dogs. I have one now, and they like to dig and run around, and so in ground was just never an option. So it's all above ground raised beds here in the city, but obviously farm as well. And so I do have an in-ground space, and that one can move depending, but it doesn't move too much because there's obviously like a lot of grass pressure. So I have to counteract that. So naturally I end up having to be kind of in the same area regardless. But if the question is like, do I rotate my crops and that sort of thing between different beds? Yes, kind of. Not heavily though, just because I do have quite limited space. So my tomatoes, I mean, relevant to this podcast,
Yeah.
I've grown in the same area for 12 years now. And
Okay, good. Because I don't rotate.
it's one of those things where it's like a big agriculture idea that we pulled into gardening. And it's because the principle of it, the theory, the hypotheticals of it are that if you put the same plant in the same area all the time, you increase the disease and the bad bugs and, all the pests, that sort of thing. That's the idea. But with that being said, it doesn't necessarily translate into that. So if you're not seeing any issues, like you don't really have to. And I mean, gardening, if you're rototilling, if you're moving mulch around, if you're composting your plants, composting them and putting the compost back in the yard, like you're just recycling disease and pests regardless. So you rotating is not going to make that big of a difference. But that's where the concept comes from. It's from Big Ag because
that never struck my mind in that sense, because unless you have a farm, I do not, although my husband would probably think we do. I would rotate if I could, but it's just not feasible. And people like Jen and I, we cram tomatoes into every little nook and cranny possible. I only have I have 3 non-tomato beds, 2 potatoes, and then 1 pepper, and I'm not putting tomatoes in there. They're staying where they are, and they've been.
The other side of that actually is if you look at like microbiologists' side, they're not like the microbiology form of soil science. So there is different levels of soil science. There's the physics side, there's the chemical, like the chemistry, there's biological, there's environmental. So when you say soil science, like there are so many different avenues you can go with it. So the microbiology folk of soil science would say that you putting the same plant in the same area is actually amplifying the good guys too. So it's amplifying the good bacteria, the good fungi, the ones that make the symbiosis. So hypothetically, it maybe plays in your favor so long as it's, your disease and that sort of thing is under control. So that's the other way to look at it. I'm biased to it. Whatever works.
That's good to know. We're already getting some questions come in, but I know Jen and I, we've never done an episode on soil before. And who better to talk about that than you? And I know you're going to get questions relating to all kinds of things, but maybe we can start with soil. And I'm sure this is a loaded question, but how do you build healthy soil and maintain it over the years?
Okay, yeah, great question. So it depends on how intensive, obviously, you are with that soil and how much you take from it. So you always are thinking about like symbiosis and the environment and how Mother Nature reacts with the environment. But keep in mind you're in a garden, so you are in an ideal scenario. Mother Nature, we say like, oh, just mimic her. She's absolutely perfect. Well, she's not. There's a lot of soil issues. Like there is incredibly salty soils out there. There is heavy clays and sands. And the plants that grow there, they're growing there because that's where they're designed to grow. So us as gardeners, in particular, have an edge even on big ag, because we can really hone in on specific areas. So the idea first is going to be the physical structure. So physical structure is going to be your sand, silt, and clay. So your three different sizes, I guess, of particulates. And what you want to aim for is a loam. So a loam is pretty much equal parts sand, silt, and clay. If you think, oh, I got way too much clay, you can add sand. If you think I've got way too much sand, you can add clay. It does not make cement. It's not a thing. It's
Okay.
literally like, if you wanted to say, Mother Nature, give me your best ideal growing conditions, she's going to hand you loam. Absolutely.
Okay.
You can look at the soil textural triangle. Just type it into Google and it'll pop up and it will actually show the percentages and the range of the percentages that you need to be able to hit that loam area. There's clay loams, there's sandy loams, there's loam. So there's a range of what loam is, but if you can just hit one of them, perfect. After that, it comes down to the organic material. So the physical side of things is going to make the charge up of your soil. It's going to allow for oxygen to get into it. So your cation exchange capacity, which is your ability to hold on to nutrients, is completely dictated mostly by that particulate size. And then your pH is dictated again by the soil type you have. It's pretty locked in. It's very difficult to change that unless
Really?
you're talking years. Yeah, it's a bit of work. And then other than that, like your physical structure also does, to an extent, some of the oxygen and the way that the water is able to percolate, as we call it, that sort of thing. But after that's the organic. So the physical thing that makes up soil has zero bearing on how well the microbes can survive in it, because microbes need the organic material. So if there's no organic material, there's no real microbe activity. And so our next step is organic material. Now, healthy soil, we say in agriculture, is a minimum of 5%. But in ideal world, if you wanted straight black gold, you want somewhere around like 15, 20, 25% organic material. This can be peat, it can be leaf mold, it can be compost, it can be manure. It really doesn't matter what it is. It just has to be organic material. You can eat literally whatever you want. The only caveat there is it has to be partially decomposed. So if we're doing leaves, it has to be leaf mold. If we're doing plant debris, grass clippings, it has to be composted. We don't want to put fresh grass clippings in there. It's going to cause a nightmare. After
Or compost. You don't want fresh compost.
no, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you want that to be aged too. Yeah. So once you mix that in, I always say, I'm not big on like till, no till. I think you should just do whatever suits your area, because some people have heavy clay, and for you to prescribe them no till, like I feel bad for them. It's mean. They're just gonna be so frustrated. Be like, I can't garden. This doesn't work. Well, no, it doesn't, because you weren't given the right tools at all. So what I would do is just incorporate that in with a rototiller, or if you double dig, whatever the case is, use your hands. Get it incorporated kind of into where the roots sit. And then after that, just moisture. And then what you take off is what you put on. So if you have plants that you chop up the bottoms off, which I always recommend just removing the bottom of the plant and then leaving actually the roots in place if possible, because that will decompose and that will make more air and fissures, and it will feed the microorganisms for the winter, right? The
I'm
fall.
glad you said that because I do that. And then somebody told me they didn't think that was correct. And I thought I had heard somewhere, maybe your channel, that was actually a good thing to leave the old
Yeah.
right? Like
If
you're
you've
talking
got
about the season, yes.
nematodes, what is it that gets on the root
Nematodes,
knot
yeah.
nematodes?
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't suggest leaving them in there. Those are bad.
Yeah.
But if you have that issue, but like I don't, so I do the same
Or
as that.
blight.
Cut it at the base.
Or
Yeah,
blight,
or
right.
blight would be the other one. If you have blight and you know that if you chop the tomato at the base and it's still going to grow and be green because you live in a climate that doesn't like freeze, then yeah, I would remove it too. But if there's no signs of issues, I'd leave them. But essentially cut it off at the base, and then think of if you were to take all of that plant debris, put it into the composter with no brown material, just all the green stuff into the composter. How much compost are you going to get out of that? That's what you want to replace. I can guarantee you it's not 3, 4, 5 inches. It's probably like half an inch.
Yeah, right.
Max. Yeah, and that's what you want to put on. Put on what you take away. That's it. That's all.
I see a question popping up. I was just going to ask a question. So somebody from our membership just moved into a new home with very clay soil, and I see a question popping up here. What kind of soil do you have in your area? We have Jack Tone clay on the farm on camp. Oh, I'm sorry. This is somebody else. Jamie is taking a soil science class right now.
Oh, nice.
So glad you're here with us, Jamie. It's a different member, or no, I don't know. But somebody did say, like, I moved into this new place, big garden, but it's such clay soil. So what's the percentage you said, Ashley, that you would
bring it down to? So it depends on what you're able to incorporate. So if you're able to incorporate, say, a sand, if you can just get it like 50% by volume to be clay and the rest to be something else, that's usually enough. You just got to test it, because ultimately speaking, it's going to change. Like your topography is going to affect it. If you're on the top of a hill, the bottom of a hill, the middle of it is going to determine how much clay you want. If you're at the top, you actually probably want way more clay than you would if you're at the bottom of a hill. So that will play in how much moisture you get, your temperatures, all that sort of thing. So I would experiment. Remember, you can always add more. You can't take away. So I would start off at like that 50% mark, but make sure you have like an actual clay and do like the soil test ribbon or the snake method, whatever. Just Google it. It'll pop up. But that will tell you kind of like where you sit. The other one that I like to do for beginners in particular, because I find like the ribbon, people really struggle with that, which I mean, I can kind of understand. But what I would do is I just take a little bit of soil, put it on the palm of my hand with some water, and then I just rub my finger in it. And what you're feeling for is it slimy? Is it sticky? Is there grains of sand in there? All those things are going to indicate, if it's slimy, you got clay. And if you feel no grit, you have no sand. So it's a really good way to know, like visually and feel wise, where everything lands. Soil scientists do not do this because it's dangerous. But in soil science, in the field, if we don't want to take a sample and then bring it back to the lab and decarb it and do all these things with it, we just put a little bit on our teeth and then we just rub our tongues. That's the other way that we know.
Okay.
Lands, but don't do that because it's dangerous.
Say you have what you think is something that's not holding water. So that would be a lack of clay, right? What kind of clay should I add?
Any kind. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like red, if there's red clay out there, that's heavily aged clay. So anything that looks red in color is heavily aged. Anything that looks gray or blue usually has been anaerobic for an extended period of time, meaning it's been exposed to water with the absence of oxygen for extended periods. You may want to avoid that. That's probably too heavy of a clay. Not to mention it probably has a little bit of rot and that sort of thing in there. But any sort of black or brown, that is right. That's perfect. That's exactly what you're looking for.
Okay.
If you have water holding capacity issues, the other organic material would be the substitute to the clay. But if you did the organic material route, just keep in mind that you have to continue to add organic material because it's going to decompose and disappear over time.
Right.
Yeah. Every year I do mushroom compost, and I also have like a big old leaf mold pile that, but it takes so much leaves to make such little.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Same thing with compost. Like I have been piling like all my scraps. I use the shredded paper from work, the coffee grounds I get from work, the grass clippings, then mulched up leaves, and then like at the end of the year, it's like this much and like this giant. Like,
it's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah.
All of that made this much.
The mushroom compost too. I'm a big fan of that. Started.
If someone asks a question,
we've noticed. Yeah, I'm starring all the questions. We'll get to them.
Oh, okay. You go ahead.
I guess we can do it now, but we're lucky because not everybody has access to mushroom compost. I've noticed that in different parts of the world, for some reason, they don't. What do you think of mushroom compost?
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no real inherent bad compost or manure. People always say, well, goat, deer, cow, which one's better? They're all the same. There's very minute differences. I think the only benefit for rotating something else in would be solely because it's going to have potentially a different nutrient profile, and it's potentially going to have, maybe attract different microbes, but it's not a notable, it's not like this is absolutely insane, this one's better type situation. It's not. I actually was talking to, I did a talk at one of the government buildings here in Canada in Alberta, and they brought in some, they're called media scientists. So they are scientists that literally do the media that makes up soil. So the potting soil. They're not like media. So they're called media scientists. They look at compost, they look at quires, they look at peat, they do all the testing to see kind of what the latest and greatest is for Microisal. They're doing all the cutting edge stuff. And there's a group out of Utah, I think it was, and they do SunGrow is the name of it. But they do a number of different potting soils. So a number of different companies, both in the US and Canada. And I was talking to their lead, like their head honcho girl. And she said that compost and quire are their nightmare. Because if they find a provider of quire or they find a provider of compost, it changes because it depends on the batch. So it depends on how long they soaked it to get rid of the salinity. It depends on what went into making that compost. So they have to do tests on every single batch. And then every single batch has tags on it to let them know. So if they start getting all these calls like, hey, this potting soil is killing my plant, they then know like, okay, clearly the compost in that batch was bad. So they do bioassays test on this stuff. So even if you were getting mushroom compost from the same supplier every single year, it's different. That
makes sense.
They cannot make it identical. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah. I've noticed that sometimes it's more broken down and then other times it's not, and it's like hot and I'm just like, I gotta let this sit for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You don't think of that, but it's logical. Like when she said that, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. How would you? It's impossible. So.
You turned me on to something recently that was like a silicone.
Oh, yeah.
Silicone in the soil. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so it's Si on the periodic table. It is an element. It's an element just on its own. It doesn't need any attachments to it. And so what that is it is a product that is uptaken into the plant and it helps the plant build a stronger plant. So if we think of silicone, like the actual silicone that you put on stuff to build it, and you think of how it's flexible, it's really tough, like to even pull it, like it is a structural element. That is what it does to the plant. So it helps build up a plant that is more resistant to disease. It's more resistant to bugs. It's more resistant to stress. And the reason for that is because It doesn't lose water as quickly. The cell walls are a lot thicker, so bugs can't bite through it. It makes better roots even. So if you have like issues with cutworms or nematodes, that can help as well. There are obviously products you can get to put in the soil, and then there are potting soils in Canada. I don't know about where you guys are that actually have a technology in it. It's called Resilience. It's RES capital SI because they're mimicking the periodic table lens. And that product they will mix into a potting soil, and that will make a potting soil that then has that silica in it, because it won't naturally be occurring in a potting soil. And that is kind of the limitations of potting soils at times. Your natural soil can and will have silica. It just depends on how bioavailable it is. So it's not like a copper, it's not like a boron, it's not any of those elements where if you over apply it, you're going to hurt your plants. That's not a thing. So if you're even in doubt of it, you can still get the product, put it on your ground. It's not going to hurt anything. If we're talking like a micronutrient, normally I'd be like, no, don't do it. But this thing doesn't even qualify for macro, primary, secondary, macro, micro. It's just like, it's not even on the list that we have. It's complete new science. It's really interesting stuff.
It's very interesting. And you had mentioned in whatever video I watched that it can be found in rice hulls.
Yeah.
I ordered some rice hulls naturally, because if Ashley says it's good, it's good. And, I should have brought it over, but I grow micro dwarf tomatoes indoors, and I get a lot of fungus gnats. And I saw in a bag that it says it deters fungus gnats. I've been using that on the top, and don't you know,
it works.
It deters fungus gnats. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
it's good stuff. I maybe don't do products justice enough, but I just don't think to mention products. But yeah, no, it's a good product.
All right, let me go back to see some of our audience questions. Here's some. This may be the person who told me about you a couple of years ago. We call her Malachite Jen because she loves Malachite box tomato. I've heard conflicting info on whether mycorrhizal fungi is beneficial for house plants and container plants. Curious what your take is.
Yeah, so that's fair. So microisal fungi is an interesting critter. We say it like it's one. We say like, oh, it's mycorrhizal fungi. It's one fungi and it takes care of everybody, but it's not. That is a very big encompassing term. So there are different species that form symbiosis with different plants. So these symbioses are something that have been made in their native habitats. So that's where the myco is coming from. So if tomatoes are native to South America and that soil has a native mycorrhizal fungi that has made that connection, then yes, it's going to make that connection with your tomato. Now, there are some varieties of it that are more, it's kind of like type O blood. It just fits with everybody. So
Okay.
Ulmus interdices is one. That is probably the one that is in a vast majority of products you buy from the store. And so that one is going to form a symbiosis with all plants. The intensity of that symbiosis is completely determinant on the plant. So yes, it'll form the symbiosis, but how much of one it's up in the air. So that's number one. So you need to be careful if you're going to go the route of spending the money on something like that. And I know it's not expensive. So if you just want to throw it on. It's not going to kill anything. But if you want to
it can be expensive.
It can be, yeah. I just don't like spending money on stupid stuff. And it's like, that's like my thing. I don't know. I'm cheap, I guess, but YouTube doesn't pay enough. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll look on the back of the package and I'll read what the variety is, and then I will search it because I don't know them all either. Say,
right.
This form a symbiosis with XYZ plant. It'll say yes. It'll say no. Maybe it'll give you some stats on like the percentage or the likelihood or the conditions it needs to be able to form that symbiosis. So all those things can factor in. The other part of the mycorrhizal fungi world is that if that soil is disturbed, you disturb the mycorrhizal hyphae, and therefore it breaks what it was doing. So every time you pull a plant out, it's done. Anytime you dig in the soil, it's done. Like even if you cut the plants off at the base and then the next year you go in and you dig in that soil, it's done. Like it cannot be disturbed. It is so like it's so intense that the fact that it can't be disturbed is there's actually one of the biggest mycorrhizal fungi areas is in the US and it's protected. You can't set foot on it.
Really?
Yeah, it's hundreds of years old and you can't even touch it. Nothing. It's completely like preserved. And the reason for that is because if anyone went in there and just stuck a shovel in, it's done. Like that's how sensitive it is.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a network that connects plants together, but it's a sensitive network. And then the other side of that actually is that if the plant has the nutrients it needs, whether it's from an organic source, a synthetic source, it doesn't matter. If the plant has the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potassium, the micronutrients it needs, it does not form the symbiosis. So you have to have a certain level of stress induced on that plant to even make them want to make that connection. And the reason for that is because it's a lot of work for a plant to make that connection. So they don't necessarily want to. You have to force it in them. So that's another thing. If you're fertilizing, if you're using fresh potting soil, if you're using potting soil mixed with compost, if you're putting compost in your soil, all these things are, it kind of null and voids it to an extent. Again, it's not going to hurt it if you put it on, but it might not do what you wanted it to if you do. If you have a area that you planted, you're leaving it, you don't even want to look at it again. We're talking orchards, trees, shrubbery, perennial gardens, whatever the case is. That is a great opportunity to apply it because that is an area you're probably not going to fertilize a whole lot. You're never going to touch it again. That area, it makes sense. So that is where I would use it. And that's where I have used it in the past. My garden, I'm digging it up way too many times for that to make sense for me at all. So, yeah.
I normally sprinkle a bit on the roots when I'm up potting to its final space. So that's a little stress, right? Or do you think it's kind of pointless?
Yeah, no, that would be stress. Yeah, no, that would be a stressor for sure. And you would get you're going to get some of that symbiosis happening, either ecto or endo. Again, that's another way to look at mycorrhizal fungi, but it'll form and it will form throughout the entire summer. And it's going to do some work for you, especially if you're not, fertilizing all the time and you are getting it and forgetting it. It's going to make a little tiny, hyphae ball. It's just not going to become huge. Like sometimes I feel like they advertise it as. It's not going to infect your soil and stay type thing. But for that season, it's definitely going to do some work for you. So that it makes sense in that scenario to do it. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing if you do it is just make sure you mulch and make sure you water because mycorrhizal fungi is the same as mushrooms. It needs that moisture. And if you let it dry out, it destroys all the hyphae. It's a very sensitive system. So you need to make sure heavy duty mulch and lots of water to be able to just nurture it as much as possible.
So every time you say something, I'm like, that's two more questions I want to ask her. But you brought up fertilizing. Tell us your thoughts on fertilizing. Obviously, you've heard in the tomato world, everybody has, not their old wives' tales, but something that's worked for them for like 30 years, fish in a hole. I'm sure eggshells, you've heard them all. And then some people fertilize very regularly. I do not. Tell us your thoughts on fertilizing.
Sure. Okay. So it depends on what you're doing. Or if you're container gardening and if you're gardening in soil, it's two very different things. I will say, this is maybe just my belief. I feel like I have enough data to back it up. But things like eggs, fish, spaghetti, all that crazy stuff, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. You can do it. You can do it. I'm completely okay with you doing it. I do mad scientist experiments all the time in my yard. My neighbors think I'm crazy. You can test for microbes in your soil by digging underwear into your raised bed. So
I've done that episode. It was so cool.
Yeah. So I do that all the time. So if you're putting eggs in your bed, Trust me, you're not as crazy as I am. But what I will say is it takes time for that to decompose. So, and it also attracts pests. Now, I don't know what your pest level is in the US or what that looks like where you are. Where I am, it means mice, it means voles, it means critters I do not want to encounter. So if I put a fish head underneath a tomato plant, which I did one year, and my dog dug the tomato plant up. It happened. Oh, I was so bad. I was like, wow, I was trying to experiment, and here we go. So got a nice silky coat after that, but it has to decompose. So if you're going to put stuff in, what I would do is I would trench compost it. So you have your tomatoes, and then you have a line down the middle. If we want to put eggs, if we want to put fish heads, if we want to put spaghetti in, put it in the middle of the two plants. What's going to happen is it's going to decompose and it's going to release and leach that nutrients over time into the surrounding tomato plants. The roots, if they want it, they can go to it. If they think it's too intense, too gross, too disgusting, they won't go near to it. At least give the tomato the option to choose where it wants to go. Don't
I've never heard the spaghetti one. That's a new one to me.
Yeah. So, and that's just it. Not there's no wrong way to do this. Like you can do it. There's no rights. I say like don't do it, but that's just because I just in where I am in cold climates, it's not going to happen. Eggshells will last for 5 years here because the soil, once it gets cold, it's done. The microbes are over it. They're not doing anything for the whole winter, and then they'll kick up. So I literally have 3 months of decomposition happening in my soil. So if I was to do that, I would end up with fish heads for 5 years because I would only have 3 months a year of decomposing. But if you live in an area, lots of moisture, lots of heat, high microbe activity, I would just trench compost down the middle if that's what you choose to do. The other thing to keep in mind is that we think of eggs as calcium. So we think when we look at an eggshell, we grind it down, we're like, wow, look at all this calcium. But that's not all calcium. There's not a whole lot of calcium in there. A lot of it's nitrogen and carbon and other nutrients, all of which are valuable to eggs, but you can't associate that with that's going to cure my calcium needs. Same with fish or anything like that. It's not going to treat what we call the acute issue. So if I'm in the season and I'm like, okay, I've got blossom end rot. I know it's not watering. I know it's not pH. It's got to be calcium and magnesium. You sticking eggs in it or watering it with vinegared eggs or whatever is not going to treat the issue. So if you want immediate action, you have to use something that's immediately available. It can be organic, it can be synthetic, but what we need to find is a label that has a percentage by volume. If you can find the label and it says 2% calcium, great. That's what you want to put on there. If you can't find that label, then it's probably not going to treat your acute issue. And it's more like an insurance policy for the future. So just keep that in mind. It's not a quick fix by any means.
I did hear that just recently that people think putting eggshells in the hole is going to solve their blossom end rot for the year. But I heard it really, unless you're grinding it down, you said putting it with vinegar and making it water soluble, it really won't be for this year. It can be for future years. Is that?
Yeah. There's a couple nutrients out there. So there's like copper is one actually as tomato growers you may want to consider that you can foliar apply. So you spray it onto the leaves. Yeah, magnesium is another one you can spray onto the leaves, foliar apply, and they actually can make a big difference. Like Jen, did you find that you like the copper addition? Like it made a difference for you?
I do that for disease resistance, and yes, it really does push down. And we had so much rain this April, May. Like there was a lot of flooding because I'm here in West Virginia, and we had some really bad flooding. It just rained and rained and rained, and the disease was kept at bay for quite a long time until the aphids took hold.
Oh God, gardening.
But I found a way to fix that. Molasses. I did a foliar spray of molasses, and gone within 24 hours. All the aphids.
That's
It was
good.
crazy.
Yeah. It was sulfured or unsulfured. Do you remember?
It was. I got it on Amazon. It was agricultural. It was meant for
Oh,
spraying
it was okay. No, that makes sense.
molasses.
Yeah.
They must not like the sweetness because they either it either killed them or deterred them because I did find some like underneath of the leaves, like you could see their dried up dead carcasses.
Oh wow. Maybe it did have sulfur in it then. I maybe fried them a bit, but that's good.
Yeah. It seemed to work. I haven't seen an aphid since, so.
There you go.
So in case you're joining us late, we're here with Ashley from the Gardening in Canada YouTube channel. Please feel free to ask questions. If you could put a Q in front of your question, I can try to make it out more. I know we're getting a lot of wonderful comments here. Make sure you subscribe to her socials. She's on Instagram and YouTube at Gardening in Canada. And we are giving, John Kramer has donated a $25 gift card for Tomato Eden. So we'll be doing a drawing at the end of the episode. Just make sure you type in hashtag tomato in the comments.
I have a question, if I could. What are your thoughts on what is it? Hydrogels. Yes. So like I used this year because I found last year we had an awful drought, and I am someone that does not like to water, like ever. So I put those in this year. It seems to be helping, but then again, also this year we had all those flooding, so I don't know. And I know that over the years that like they break down. Are they bad for your soil when they break down, or?
No, it's natural. It's actually stuff that naturally occurs in our soil to begin with. Particularly once it breaks down, like maybe the chemical structure to begin with isn't natural, but it becomes exactly what soil is. So there's that makes it not terrible for anybody. You could probably argue there's more microbe activity around those areas because of the biofilm that would be formed, which is essentially just a constant source of moisture, which is where bacteria and fungus, the good guys, the bad guys too, all hang out. So there's that. There are some brands out there. I don't know. What's the one called? I can't remember what the one is called. It's Sunshine Mix in Canada. It's Sunshine Mix #1. And I can't remember what product they put in it. But that one's meant for only ornamentals. So you can't put it with anything that's edible. And the reason for that is because there's, higher loads of more micronutrients that you don't want to ingest. So there's those ones, but the ones that say they're safe for all food or all plants, there's no reason why you can't use them. They're going to decompose, they're going to disappear, they're going to mechanically dissolve, but absolutely they're going to hold more moisture, and there's no reason why you shouldn't use them.
Awesome.
I use them too. Like I've got a front bed out here it's California, friggin' San Diego level hot in the summer. Like literally I've got it filled with hydrogel because I'm like you. I'm not doing it. I'm not watering.
Yeah. I just can't bring myself to do it. Every day I'm looking at, is it going to rain? Oh, it's going to rain in 2 days. I can wait. And then like 2 days come, it doesn't rain. And I look again. Is it going to, in 2 more days? I can wait a little long. They can wait. So it's like, I have to do something. I have to help the plants a little bit because I am lazy. Like
survival of the fittest.
That's what it's
garden.
Jen and I are really similar that way. I don't water much at all. The things I have in grow bags, I will do more often. Yeah. But if it's in the ground or in my raised beds, I wait for the plant to show me it's stressed, and then I will water it. Like last year we had a drought, but in general, I get more diseases with the water. But, we've had a little bit more rain this year, so I guess it's been a good thing. But yeah, Jen and I are we're like the dry farmers.
Even in my grow pots, I will take wood chips and just mound the wood chips up around the grow pots, and I'm just like, that should do. Like outside on the top, like it's just like it's almost like I built a raised bed with my grow pots because I just put the wood chips all around. Hold the moisture in there.
That reminded me, I wanted to ask you about mulch, but I want to get to some of our viewers' questions first. Deborah from Australia says, "What do you?"
Ray froze.
What? Am I frozen?
You froze for a second there.
Am I back?
No, you're good now.
Okay. What do you do to your soil in winter to prepare for spring planting?
So my soil is not accessible in the winter at all. I don't know. I don't film on. That's actually, if you watch my YouTube channel in the winter, I'm in this room because I should do one in a snowbank, actually, an episode in the middle of February. I've got like 5-6 foot high hills of snow, so I can't access it through the winter. So I leave it throughout the winter time. If I have a bed that I know has a pest issue, a weed issue, or is new, and I don't 100% know what's going to happen with it, I will solarize it. So that involves taking like a poly, putting it over top of the soil, making it nice and flush with the rocks, and then letting it heat up for 2 or 3 weeks. I will solarize any raised bed or area where I'm like, I want to get stuff in there sooner rather than later. I just want that soil to be the temperature it needs to be at to be able to germinate seeds or to accept a transplant. So that's number one, is to get it workable. The other thing, once it is workable, I will add usually a little bit of the compost or the manure. I did manure this year. I'm not picky. I just get whatever's on sale. And I'll just mix it into like the top layer of the soil. And then after that, everything gets planted. I don't do, granular mixed in. I don't really go into what we call the rhizosphere and manipulate it too much. I'm in raised bed though, so that's maybe part of it. And then I will, after everything's planted, if it's seeds, I leave it until it germinates. And once I get some true leaves, then I will mulch it. If it's transplants, I will immediately mulch. So that's like the only time where I separate mulching from not mulching. If it is an in-ground bed, so if it's like the bed at the farm, I will till it and I will till it and I will till it. And I don't mix anything into that garden because it's way too much to be able to do. It's too much land mass. The reason why I'm tilling it is because the weed pressure is insane out there. It's the grass and thistle and you name it, it's got it. So the constant tilling is what breaks that up. It's also a heavier clay in that area. And there's a number of different reasons for it, but I do till that because I just can't be bothered with trying to navigate no till. Like if I lived out there, it's 30 minutes from the city. If I lived out there and I had the time to every day, assess it and get it ready, fine, but I don't. I go out there maybe once every 2 weeks. I can't maintain it, so it just gets tilled and it's done.
Yeah.
And I mulch it. I don't do any of that. So it's just very basic, very basic.
And then what do you like to use for mulch? I've been using straw mulch the past couple of years, but I heard you mention like leaves and things like that. Do you have a preferred mulch or even things that you recommend you don't use for mulch?
Yeah, so my preferred, I actually don't have access to anymore, and that is grass, but I made my entire yard
Yeah.
So grass isn't existent, but I really like grass clipping.
Okay.
It is my absolute favorite. Obviously, cut it before anything turns into weed seed because that obviously is going to put weeds in your garden. Second favorite is going to be leaves, but specifically shredded leaves. So I've tried leaves not shredded and I've tried leaves shredded. There's a big difference between the two. Shredded is like leagues better. So that's my preference for mulches. The other one is like, it's a new product. It looks identical to straw, actually. It's called Typha. Now, you're not going to have access to this, I don't think. You can look at this TYF or TYPHA. And so what it is, it's cattails that have been shredded down.
Wow.
And it makes like a nice straw. And it's nice. Like I really, really like it. It comes in bales that are like pretty compressed. And yeah, I personally think it's a miracle product.
Wow.
Straw, I do like straw. If it's again shredded, it's all about that shredded. The finer the material, the better the mulch. I don't like wood chips. I don't like hay. I don't like straw that hasn't been shredded within an inch of its life. None of those are my favorite. Depends on the bed. So my tomato bed, I really like hemp mats. So they're literally reusable mats and they have like a little slit in the middle. You put it around the tomato stem and you just leave it. And it keeps moisture in, it keeps pests out, it stops the soil from splashing up on the leaves when you water. It stops, you name it, it gets rid of it. No weeds, no nothing. And it's like a thick mat. Do I have? Actually, I might have one. I have a small one in here, but it just looks like this.
Huh.
But they come big, like they come huge, like giant, and it has a slit down the middle, and then you literally just put it around the tomato stem. Done. I do that if I don't have any seeds planted around my tomatoes, if I don't have any other plants to put around the tomatoes, and if it's very like monoculture organized, I use those every time, hands down. If I'm doing seeds or it's like chaos gardened or whatever, I won't do it. But if it's organized, then that's absolutely my go-to. The other option, if you didn't want to do hemp mats, because obviously they cost money, they are reusable and they last a while, but still cost money. Cardboard, just make
I
your
was
own.
going to ask you about cardboard.
Yeah, I got no issue with it. I prefer it not shredded, only because it'll blow everywhere if it is shredded. So if it's sheets of cardboard that you planted into or you kind of tucked around the plant, that is ideal with like rocks on top, that sort of thing. I don't love the plastic mulches, like the plastic sheet mulch. I don't like the fabric woven. The reason for that is because I don't have like a watering setup where I water underneath the mulch. I water over top. So I have to have something that like goes through. I can't have pooling. And I find I get a lot of pooling when I use some of those sheet mulches. So that one I'm not a huge fan of. For tomatoes also, actually I use I don't know what they're called though. They're discs. They're like a red disc and it has like the
I've
two.
seen those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like those in the containers because again, I water. It doesn't, potting soil, how it, moves away and you're going to see your tomato roots and stuff. It really roughs things up. Those discs, you just water into the disc.
Yeah.
Mulch, it holds the moisture in and it doesn't disturb the soil around the root. So that's another one that I really like for, again, tomatoes, peppers, that sort of thing. That's a very standalone item, but yeah.
Does the red color, I've heard that the red color does something. Is there truth to that?
Yeah, actually there are studies on that. Yeah, so it's not like a huge difference, but they do say for tomatoes it is the light that it refracts, red in general. It can be red paper, it could be red plastic, it could be red discs, it doesn't matter. But that red light and what it lets through or doesn't let through, reflecting back on the plant actually helps to increase the yield because it's a light spectrum that the plants benefit from. The other one isn't just red, it's actually just like a reflective mulch. So reflective mulches is another one where it reflects the light up. And so there's more photosynthesis that takes place on the underside of the leaves, which sounds insane, but it's true. And it also helps to increase yield because you have more photosynthesis happening. So that's another one.
Reflective mulch. I've not seen that, but like, would that like aluminum foil? Would
Yeah.
that be something that you could wrap around the base of your tomato plant and it would be reflective?
Yeah, Mylar. Yeah, those big Mylar emergency blankets. Yeah,
because I use those in my basement grow room. That's what I have like around my grow shelves.
Yeah, for like
light
indoor,
that, make it brighter.
I've seen your shelves that have it back there, and a lot of like Vivo Sun has indoor greenhouses that are, I think, all mirrored on the inside also.
Yeah, like if you have a shadier location, if you plant like heavy condensed planting, and you think that light may be like a limiting factor, just reflective mulch. Throw some Mylar down on the ground. You can put it up on the sides if you wanted, but just that extra reflection, while minor, is enough to actually cause some benefits. So, and that's a study. Both of those are studied.
Very cool.
Hope says she feels like she has too much organic compared to inert.
Yeah, that can happen. Signs that it's happening, you can do a test. If you've got like a Bunsen burner, which you probably don't have, but if you've got like a Tiger torch or
not you, Ashley. I don't have a Bunsen burner kicking around my house.
If you have like a tiger torch, or if any of your husbands have, there's like just torches in general that have like fire that comes out the end
Like
of it.
a creme brulee torch.
Yeah,
I use that to kill weeds.
Yeah, that would work too. What you want to do is you want to take your soil, what you categorize as a soil, and you want to put it onto just a flat sheet, let it dry out. It needs to be bone dry. Put it somewhere where you're not going to start a fire, and then burn it. You want to take a weight before you burn it, once it's dry, not prior to it being dry, but once it's dry. And burn it, and you're going to see a whole bunch of little flames and whatever. You're going to burn off all the organic material, and then you can take a new weight and see how much percentage wise is actually organic material, or you can just visually see it. If it's enough, like if you're in the case what that person was saying, where you're like, it's way more than I have inert material, you're going to be able to physically see like, yeah, it is, and then you can mediate it. Otherwise, you're going to notice just like really poor soil structure. So if you're always digging into your soil and you don't see aggregates, like if you dig a shovel in, you pull it out and you don't have like the blocks that come, that's a sign you have too much organic material. If it's just like a big fluff, like a homogeneous fluff, people, advertise that as like, that's what you want. It's not what you want. You want aggregation, because that aggregation is like the pillar, the foundation of the house. So if you think of your house and soil as a house, think of the aggregate as the house, and then every little room is kind of an area where we thrive. And in the case of plants, the room is, where your roots hang out, where your microbes hang out, where your oxygen hangs out. But the walls, they need to be there, because if they're not there, I don't have anywhere to live. I don't have any oxygen. I have nowhere to hang out. So the roots are the same. And when you have too much organic material, there is no banquet hall for the roots to hang out with. It's just a big homogeneous fluff. And so you want to avoid that. So if you see aggregation, you're like, oh, I've got compacted soil. You don't necessarily have compacted soil. It's not necessarily a bad thing. What you would want to look at is like percolation tests. Dig a hole, put some water in, see how long it takes to, disappear. I have some videos on that. All those things are going to tell you if it's truly compacted or not. It's very rare in the world of gardening, if you have an established bed, that it's compacted. Like I've never really seen someone send me a photo or a video on Instagram where I'm like, whoa, that's straight clay and it's compacted. It's very rare. Okay. I've had one person, it was an absolute fluke. I did a soil profile video. It didn't do very well because it's way too nerdy, but it was basically looking at like the different soil profiles and what you can encounter if you were to dig outdoors. And I said, there's a solozenic soil, and it's literally a soil that is so high in clay and so high in salt that it makes literal columnar pillars in the ground. Yeah, it's hard. You just need a pickaxe to be able to even see what the soil profile is. And the guy's like, I swear I have this. I'm like, you got to send me a photo. There's no way. I've seen it like once in nature type thing, like in an actual soil course setting. Once the guy he had it. And I was like, that is completely, that is a total fluke. Like that does not happen. So you maybe eat crow there, but you'll know if you have it. Do that percolation test.
There's a great question here, and I'm very curious to hear your answer on this. Can I reuse the soil in my grow bags if the soil freezes over the winter for the tomatoes?
Yeah. So, as long as it's a potting soil, like if it's a soil, you're going to have to like reclaim it a little bit. But if it's a potting soil, there's no reason why you can't reuse it. The only time I would say don't reuse it or don't reuse it immediately, you have to do something with it, is if you look at it and a lot of the perlite in it is completely squashed and non-existent, you want to put more perlite in there. Again, we want some banquet halls in that space, and it doesn't exist without perlite.
I like that analogy. That's good.
The other one is, just organics in general. Now, it doesn't have to be compost. You can just add more peat or, coconut coir, whatever the case is. But you may want to top up some of that organic material. If you go to lift it out and it all looks really fine and very homogenous, and you're like, there's no structure. Like, I remember seeing fibers in this and there's no fibers left. You want to update that with some new organic material. So you're just going to mix in the new stuff that's not nearly as broken down mechanically or, organically, and put that into the system. The other one would be if you smell it and it smells terrible. So if it smells like it's rotting, it's probably heavily, anaerobic. And so in that case, you want to dump it out, put it out on a tarp, let it dry, and then see what you have left. I can guarantee you're probably not going to have a lot of perlite, and you're probably going to have very fine particulate sizes left. And that's probably what caused the initial issue. And then you're just literally going to do what I said before, more perlite, more organic material, and you can update it. Of course, if you have diseases, whatever they may be, right. If they're soil borne, that's got to go in the garbage. There's no way to really cure that unless you're going to put it in your oven, which apparently causes a lot of fire during COVID. I don't know where I was reading, and it was like firefighters were like, "Stop putting your potting soil in the oven, please."
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, it was starting fires. I guess they were trying it. Yeah, it was wild.
Boiling water, people. Boiling water.
Yeah, there's so many other options. Like, you could even just put it in like a plastic bag and like put it on the porch and let the sun do its job. But yeah, no, the people were putting it in the oven. It was like, wow. Wild.
I'll do crazy things with tomatoes. I have not done that one. That's a first, but that is very funny.
Oh yeah.
I will reuse my potting soil because I get kind of pricey. Potting soil. I like Fox Farm Ocean Forest for my tomatoes, and I re-add perlite every single year. Although sometimes I laugh at myself. The perlite is more to purchase than what would have been another bag of the Ocean Forest. But yeah,
I get one of those giant things from Amazon. Like, it's a huge bag of perlite.
Oh, I do. I just throw a lot of giant bags from Amazon.
Oh, okay.
I guess there's coarse. I don't know if you've seen that, but like, you can get coarse perlite. Like, you can get fine, medium, coarse. Coarse is another option. Sometimes it's cheaper because then you just take a hammer to it and you break it down into what would be normal size perlite and mix it in, and it ends up being more just because it was compressed before. So that's another way to save some money.
That's good. I was getting coarse, but certainly not something you break up with a hammer.
It should be pretty big. Like, coarse should be chunky. Like, it should be large.
I'll have to check that out. All right, let's get to some more questions. This is from our friend Akelia, and I wanted to ask you about this too. I saw the video. I saw your video title. I'm like, here it is. Did anyone miss asking Ashley about not planting tomatoes?
Oh, no, yeah. That was the first video I watched of yours, and I was like, oh, no, she didn't.
Oh, no, she didn't.
I was so curious, though, because I know you're a scientist, and I was like, I've got to hear this.
For anybody that hasn't seen the video, tell us. Well, tell us. Just be honest.
Well, number one, I like pissing off the internet, so there's that.
I'm getting ready to piss off everyone.
Yeah. No, I just like reading the troll comments. Yeah. No, in all seriousness, though, there was the study was done out of Florida. And so in Florida, obviously, it's very hot soil. And they were looking at ways to be able to increase the yields out of tomatoes. And we know from plants, all plants, they have a certain heat capacity in which their roots like to be in. Too hot, it can't uptake nutrients, it can't uptake water, and it can't form the proper rhizosphere, symbiosis that needs to happen. The opposite of that is if it's too cold, it can't take up nutrients, can't take up water, and the microbes can't, come to fruition. So the idea was to plant them deeper. And yes, when they were planted deeper in these really hot soils, we got higher yields because we put them in the temperature zone that they needed to be in. So if you're in a colder climate, or if you are just in a shadier space, you got to use a little bit of your own nuance to this. But if you're in any of these areas, it would make sense to put it at the height that is the temperature that your tomato roots need to be in. So where I am, if I dig down in May or June,
Oh,
it's still frozen. Like,
right.
it is cold down there. So what we need to do is I need to elevate it, bring it up, and then obviously, put it a little bit higher than what you normally do. The other thing is too, is the study out of Florida, specifically at the University of Florida, that looked at tomato plants. There was some nuance to that. So they didn't rip all the leaves off and like sink it to oblivion. They only took off up to the first true leaves. So if you're starting tomatoes, you bump them up. And when you bump them up, you drop them down to first true leaves. And then you take them outside, you drop them again. Now you're getting way deeper than what that study even indicated was what yielded the best results. So there's that as well. So you could, in theory, again, try it, see, like, be your own garden scientist. Like, don't take what I'm saying for, like, don't
No,
be like, that's
it's
the rule.
interesting.
Yeah, do whatever you
That's
want.
why we
But
love you.
Yeah.
That's why we love you.
yeah, so
We're
yeah,
I'm
like
just
try
gonna
different
tell you this, but I don't
levels.
really care what you do. You can
I
do
mean,
whatever you
for
want.
me, I like to establish like a really strong root system along the stem,
Yeah.
which for me is the point of planting deep. But I've been growing tomatoes for 30 years and I am a forever learner. One of the reasons I love your channel, I want to learn new things.
That's called
I want to try new
scientific
things.
rigor.
Like,
What, Ashley?
That's called scientific rigor, actually.
Oh, I'm a scientist.
So, in the world of science, regardless of if it's soil science, medical science, whatever the case is, there's like two divisions of science. Like, there are the dogmatics, who are, this is the rules. Newton says there's gravity, there's no other options. And then there's like the dreamers, the guys that have like what we call scientific rigor, which are like, hey, yeah, gravity exists, but like, does it? Does it really? That's where I
I'm gonna
land.
test
Where
it out.
yeah, we can reverse that. Like, I'm pretty sure we could know. But so that's kind of like the two places, and these two people hate each other. Like, they just despise each other. They do not get along at all. They will rip each other in a public forum to bits. But I personally, even the dogmatic ones, I'm like, hey, they serve a purpose. You know what I mean? So I would try, like, to be honest. And again, this is the crazy part about the idea of like what depth you plant at. If you have a clay soil in a hot area, it's colder than
Right.
you have a sandy soil in a hot area. That is much warmer. And vice versa. Raised beds, in ground containers, baskets, bags, like all of these things, it has a different temperature. So try different levels. I personally tried it. And to me, if I bump up from my original cell to the first true leaf into that container, and then I take that container and I plant it flush with the ground, that is my best tomatoes. If I sink them, they peter out. They're done. They can't even really put on those roots because they just don't have the energy to do it, because they haven't been able to take up water, haven't been able to take up nutrients. And it's just, that's kind of, while I did piss off the internet, there is some nuance there. So.
But are you saying that's because of where you live or just burying deep in general?
No, it's just because of where I live. So
Okay.
where you guys are, I don't know what your soil temp is.
Yeah.
But like, if it's hitting, okay, I'm Canadian, so I don't, like 25, 30. So that's like above room temperature. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but somewhere in and around, like, if you're getting hot soil like that, you're going to want to sink it. Okay. But if you sink it and you're like, whoa, this is below 10 degrees Celsius, there's something called GDDs, and roots kind of fall in this as well. So it's growing degree units, and units can only be accumulated when the plant is in its ideal range. So ideal range for tomatoes, 10 degrees Celsius, don't know what that is Fahrenheit, and then 25 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But that range is where the plant needs to be. If it goes below that, it stops. If it goes above that, it stops. Yeah. So that's why shade cloth may be needed. Mm-hmm. Higher levels of mulch, digging it deeper may be needed. So there is, like, you got to use a little bit of common sense there and experiment. Because you may think like, okay, I tested this in the spring, it came out at the correct temperature at this depth, you plant it in, and then say you have summers that just go from 0 to 100, like they just go from cold to incredibly hot, and that area is no longer anywhere near a nice temperature, it's just skyrocketed, then for next year to dig it deeper. So try different heights, see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, that sort of thing.
You have like something that you use, right? I
Yeah,
think you mentioned it.
soil temp thermometer.
Yeah.
So there's Rapid Test is the product or the
I have
brand.
one of those too.
Yeah, like I really like their gauge one with like the pH and all that sun stuff on it. I like the one that looks like the turkey thermometer, and it has like on the dial, it has actually like the crop and then the section of temp that it needs to be in. That one's like
I don't have a temp thing. I don't know what I'm talking about. So it's a moisture meter I have. I don't have soil temp.
Yeah, but you can use a turkey baster. Just make sure, or a turkey thermometer.
I was going to say what? Turkey.
Yeah, no. So you take the turkey thermometer, and as long as it has like the range, like as long as you can go low to like a little bit high and isn't all on the extreme end, then that works fine too. It just literally has to be a probe that goes on the soil that tells the temperature. So
that's good. I had started a couple more comments.
That's another reason why if you try to put your plants in the ground early, it really doesn't make a difference.
I was
because
just once say that,
it's enough. Like we talk all the time about how we like to start seeds. Like we'll get new seeds for rare tomatoes, and we just accidentally it fell into soil, and all those later ones that we started catch up. Because when the soil's right temperature, those plants that's when they take off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've tried it. Both Lauren and I have tried those doohickeys, those dome things.
Wall of water.
Walls of water, whatever you call them. It doesn't matter. It just seems like when the temperature's right, the conditions of the soil's right, that's when they love it, and that's when they grow the best.
Yeah.
So
No, the only reason I would say plant out early, like I hold mine back for an obscene amount of time. The only time where I'd say like, no, get them out in the garden early is if you don't have the light, like you're like, I am out of light capacity.
Right.
You're getting leggy and gross, or you just simply don't have like the time or the ability to keep them in containers anymore. If you've reached your limit of containers, put them outdoors, but don't expect them to grow because they're
right. Yeah, you can put them in the ground, but they're going to do their thing when they're ready to do their thing.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Jen's right. I start some like end of March, early April, and then I waited a month before doing another batch. And if I look in my garden now, you cannot tell the difference.
No, not at all.
Yep. The ones you gave me that were itty bitty, they're the same size as the ones that I planted.
Kind of crazy.
A month before that.
Tomatoes.
Eric Mooney says, I've done my garden this year with the no-dig Charles Dowding style, and my garden has been the best ever. What are your thoughts on this style of gardening?
Yeah, so that is the no-dig. So the idea is going above the soil and then above.
Is that like the lasagna gardening?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So essentially you put on, you've got a cardboard layer on top of a soil that you haven't tilled or touched or anything, and then you put compost on top. You plant into that, more compost the next year, and you just continue to add compost. Yeah.
That's what Maplewood is, Lauren. It's two big rows, and you can't really tell on camera, but it's like these big mounds that I just keep putting a big layer of mushroom compost on every year.
Yeah.
And then the wood chips break down, and it's just, And so, but I mean, honestly, it's still somewhat dig because you got to dig to put the plant in.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. There's no such thing as like no-till. It's low-till. There's a lot of low-till. No-till is, again, it's an agricultural term that we adopted as gardeners, but we adopted it incorrectly. So farmers, when they do no-till, it is when they have this big cone and they put all the seeds into the cone. It goes on the back of the tractor and has this disc, and the disc spins and the seeds come out and they get flung all over. It's like chaos gardening. They don't get put under the ground. They just land where they land. They grow if they grow. That is no-till. Low-till is if you have to manipulate the soil. If the seed has to go in the ground, you're tilling. So the Charles Dowding method works wonderfully for some people. So if you do it, don't, and it's not working, and this goes for any method. If you're tilling and it doesn't work, it goes for any method. Huge disclaimer there, because I truly believe this. If it's not working for you, you don't have the right soil type for it. So the Charles Downing method does not work with every method. So if you've got a soil that is incredibly sandy and it releases moisture really quickly, you're going to have a really hard time keeping that garden hydrated. It's going to be very dry and you're going to be struggling with that, especially if you're in a, an area that has a drought and you're above ground. Like, welcome to your nightmare. That is it. If you've got a clay soil that's super heavy clay, you can end up with a perched water table, which is essentially where the water just sits at the interface of the compost and the soil, and it sits there, and then it slowly tries to penetrate through. But if your roots are hanging out in that zone for too long, it's anaerobic, it can cause problems. But with that being said, there are soils out there where, yes, it is fantastic. And it sounds like that person found the method that works for them. But if you're doing it and you're like, man, I just suck at gardening, nothing's working, try a different method, because it's probably not Charles Downing method that's the problem. It's probably the soil native to your area that you have that's causing the issue. Very important.
And what about hugelkultur? You have thoughts?
Yeah, so that's another good one. So I could never do it here because it would dry out way too quick. I do not have I live in the prairies, so the Great Plains is kind of goes into the US a little bit. That's where I am. So it's really cold, really dry, and then it's really hot and really dry. It's basically borderline a desert, but with like a little bit of a spin. So it's really not, like, hugelkultur is not going to work for me. I think that if you are a beginner gardener, I wouldn't go for it, because it has a lot of, you have to really know what you're doing. You have to be able to gauge the plant's response to stuff. So for example, as a new gardener, if you did this, you may not know the wood should be semi-aged, and you don't want to put fresh wood in it, because fresh wood's not going to hold moisture the same way an older piece of wood will. A partially rotted log is going to hold moisture. That's going to help. When you go to put the soil in, you really want to make sure you're packing it into all the spaces, because if you have these big banquet rooms that are way too big, there's too much air and you get air pruning. So you kind of get lost in the void. The roots get lost in the void, and that's going to cause issues. So that's another one you kind of want to be a little bit careful with. But if you are like a veteran at gardening and you're like, no, I just want to try this, then give it a shot. It was actually developed in Germany by a woman who had disabilities. So she didn't want to weed. She didn't want to have to bend down, and she didn't want to have to, like, old school water with like buckets and that sort of thing. So that's actually where it came from. She used decomposed logs because it had a lot of moisture in it. She packed the soil in, and then she obviously grew on what is the hugelkultur. And the idea there was she didn't have to bend over. She didn't have to bend over to weed, and she had that continual moisture source. So it's another one where, if you have the right conditions, like maybe you're in an area that's really humid and very moist, then that probably is going to work wonderfully for you. If you're arid, good luck is all I have to say. Unless you have like in a greenhouse that has a mister in it, it will be your nightmare too.
Yeah, I'm sure you see things pop up, like the fad of the moment pop up all the time, right?
Yeah, and for good reason. I mean, there's people out there who are going to be able to show you a hugelkultur setup that looks unbelievable, and it's because they have the right climate. They're in the right zone for it. But unfortunately, it's false advertising for everyone to follow it.
And I think that can be with everything, can't it? Because what works for me isn't going to work for you, isn't going to work for somebody down in Florida, right?
It's crazy. Like, even people in the same zone, like, zone 3, if I was to tell someone blanket approach, like I just was walking up to another gardener who's, gardening a couple blocks down, and I said, like, this is what I do in my front yard. I've got a big tree. I've got a lot of sun on this end. I've got like a whole bunch of brick. It's crazy. But if someone else is somewhere else farther down with no trees, all soil, no brick, that's different. Like, it's different. I'm going to get different results. So if they do exactly what I'm telling them to with no nuance taken into consideration, they're going to struggle, which is just wild. But that's the beauty of soil and plant science. And that's oftentimes like when I, mention a study or I mention something, you got to take it and you got to extrapolate the data from it or the ideas from it, but you don't want to get married to it, because I've done these trials before, and 1 year something works and it's like, no, this is it. Like, this is going to work for every year. The next year, absolutely not. It's just trash. It doesn't work at all. It's like the worst possible. And it's because the conditions change all the time.
Yeah, the weather changes. Yeah, I always say there's pros and cons to everything, and I just keep experimenting. Like I was telling Lauren, I was like, I try new things every year. I'm trying to figure out what works. And, if the plants could just talk to me and tell me,
Yeah.
I love to this, keep doing this, but they don't.
With AI, maybe they'll figure something out there.
Oh gosh.
We'll plug some plants in and they'll be able to talk back. Yeah. I don't even know what mine would say. They'd be like, what's enough here?
Mine would have said this year, stop with the neem oil, please. That's what
yeah. That's probably
no more neem.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sick to my stomach from the smell of the dang neem oil.
Yeah.
It's strong.
It doesn't work for aphids for me.
No.
It did not work at all.
That's a bizarre pesticide, actually, how it works and stuff.
I just watched a video today or yesterday from the millennial gardener I think it's from a year ago, where he was talking about why he won't ever use neem oil.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening all that closely, but
I don't think I'll use it ever again either. It didn't work indoors. It didn't work outdoors. I'm like, what is this crap? I don't think it's.
Yeah, it's a wild concept. Like it depends on how it's manufactured, where it comes from, how it's processed, how it's pressed.
I know he said that too.
Yeah, it depends on like your area. If people in your area have been using it, it's a systemic pesticide. So it penetrates the system. So it goes in the soil, it goes in the plants. You compost the plants, it's in your compost. You put it in the garden, it's in like it just keeps cycling and building up in the system. So eventually bugs just get used to it and they're like, whatever, I don't care about this anymore.
I'm pretty sure the aphids laughed at me while I was spraying it.
They will, yeah, because the only
like, this is yummy.
This is so yummy. Yeah, the only deterrent is the flavor. Like, that's why the insects don't eat it. So if they've just been like continually exposed to it and forced to eat it, like they just, okay, I'm gonna eat it. It's done.
They were totally laughing at me. I can guarantee it. Look at me procreate.
Yeah. I can imagine.
It's like antibiotics, isn't it? Eventually you get resistant to antibiotics the more you're on it, right? So
turns out Jen's got like an aphid swinger party happening over there.
Yeah.
She's got the key bowl for aphids and it's the
like they were just reproducing right in front of me. It was aphid orgy. No.
with P. Diddy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's not off, so
dripping neem.
Yeah, instead of a freak off, it's a neem off.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Too much oil, just like P. Diddy.
Sadly, we're over time, but there's one more. We went too fast. We have one more question from a viewer. What are your thoughts on vermicomposting? Yeah,
I think it's a great method. Like if you've got like an indoor setting and you're in a colder climate, for example, and your compost pile freezes, which happens to me, it's a great alternative. It works good. I had one till I got a mouse in the house, and then it decided to go into my I didn't even know I had a mouse. And then I went to go put something in my worm bin, and this freaking mouse is staring at me. And I'm like, oh my God. I like put the cardboard on top of it, and I like ran it outside into a Canadian winter. And I'm like, see you later, worm. You're done.
No more you.
No more you.
Subscribe to
cat.
Ashley's YouTube channel and follow her on Instagram. It's at Gardening in Canada, as you just saw for the last 90 minutes. She's delightful and informative, and
Yes,
you will
I
become
thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so
Aw.
much for coming.
too.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Will you please come back?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime.
Yay.
Invite me. I have no life. I have no friends except for 100.
We're your
I'll be your
friends.
friend. I don't have any friends either.
We're your new besties.
Now we have friends.
I could go on with questions all night, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Those of you that join late, make sure you type in #tomato. We'll do a drawing right now. Do you want to hang around for the drawing, or are you going to take off? You need to be with your husband.
Oh, yeah. Apparently my cat got into the room with my bird, so.
All right.
He was just telling me, like, your
Me
cat
too,
is in
thank
the
you.
bird with the room. Oh, they hate, like, Ella. I don't know if you've ever seen her. I had her on camera for the beginning part of my YouTube journey, but she just, like, beaks off the whole time. She's a parrot, and so people are like, get rid of the bird. So I got rid of her, but she mimics the fire alarm, so people think I don't change my fire alarm batteries. It's my parrot. So for the podcast, like, her room is in here. Like, this is where she lives, is in this ecosystem, and I don't cage her. She doesn't go in a cage. Like, she lives in this room. So I had to move her out. So I moved her out, and I guess my husband went to open the door not knowing she was in there, and then the cat's like,
Yeah.
and he's too scared to touch her. So
Well, thank you so much, Ashley. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Esakin or Esakin?
Esakin, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah.
This
Reach
was
out
awesome.
whenever. If you guys, if
Oh,
you're
we
viewers,
will, believe me.
Wonderful.
getting
Thank you.
messages, be like, don't let her back on.
No, it's fantastic. Thank
Your
you.
therapy is on me. Yeah.
Well, you probably need it after Jen and I. But
No. You guys are my vibe for sure. So, okay. Well, you guys have an awesome summer weekend, all that.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye, Ashley. Oh my God.
Oh, so great.
Is she not amazing, you guys?
Oh, yeah. I cannot believe it's an hour and a half already. That's nuts. That flew right by. And I have a very short attention span anymore. We went to go see the new Jurassic Park movie, and like 45 minutes in, it's a good movie. I liked it. But like, I'm just like, okay, I need to go do something else right now. And it's like a over 2 hour
Well,
movie.
it is tomato season, so your mind is in other places. Haley says that was so fun. I agree. She was so fun. And now we've got her locked in. She'll be coming back as much as Craig. Yes. I mean, there's so much we can talk about.
So much. Oh my goodness. We just like scratched the surface. And I didn't even I was trying to look at the comments, but then I was just like, oh no, I need to pay attention. She'd say something and I was just like,
I know.
I apologize about the comments section.
I think I got most of the questions. There's a place here where you
Did
can
you? Yeah, you were on it. Thank you. Thank you.
I felt guilty looking away too. She's delightful. She's just what you see on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to her channel, Gardening in Canada. Yeah. So make sure you guys type in #tomato. Now's your last chance. John Kramer is giving away a $25 gift card to Tomato Eden, as he does every month. Thank you, John. We love you.
We so appreciate you.
All right, that's not the prize thing.
That was so fun. I could have talked another hour and a half with her.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Only one winner tonight. I be grubbin'. I love that name. I'm going to be grinning from ear to ear for a couple days on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely has made my week.
Me too. Blah, blah.
Blah,
Blah, blah. If you can certainly message me over Messenger, or preferably if you can message John Kramer. Kramer's Kramar, not ER. you guys can get in touch. But if you want to message me instead, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, and so next month we have Craig back August 1st, and yeah, we're lining up some pretty sweet guests, don't you think?
Yes, we are. We're so cool. to
I
be able to
know.
get these people on our show, I'm just like, oh.
Ashley
Like
has
I
new
was,
friends. We're now her besties. We're Craig's
yes, new
bestie.
friends. I love making new friends.
Me
Yay!
too. Me too.
I was worried too because I was just like, man, I hope I don't embarrass myself. I'm like, I was thinking, what if she don't like me?
Oh,
Like,
nobody
because
can ever not
I
like you.
can't be anybody but myself. Like, I've tried and it doesn't work.
You can't do anybody but you can't do what?
I can't be anybody but myself. Like trying to
Well, thank God for
fake
that.
being.
Because we wouldn't want you to be anybody but you. We love you.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank
No,
you.
it's
You're
true. It's
sweet.
true. You're authentic. You're just like Ashley without the science knowledge.
Yeah. I'm just dumber.
No, not what I said.
I know. I chose the wrong word. Yeah, I didn't go to school for
I'm always
science. I know how to clean
referencing Jen.
teeth. I bet she can't clean teeth.
She cannot clean teeth. Although knowing her, maybe she does. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe she knows how.
I just love how she takes what is no doubt very complicated information and she's not dumbing us down, but she's sharing it in a way like I can actually understand this.
Yes, and it makes it make sense to you, and then she, like she said, there's so many variables in everything. Even though she's telling you the science, that science might be different where you're at because of your conditions, what soil you have. So to say this is one size fits all, like what was the word she used? Those two different types of people. Like
Oh,
I'm definitely the one where I'm just like,
and yeah,
dogmatic, and I'm definitely the other one. Like I'm just like, you do you, I'll do me, and I keep doing me differently. Like
yeah,
I
everybody's
can't figure out what I want to do.
If somebody's had
Yeah.
great luck putting a fish in a hole for their tomatoes for 50 years, that's
Keep
great.
doing it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be something that's going on that is working in your environment. So
Right.
yeah, have
Don't
it.
mess with
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
All right, my love. Well, thank you. This has been a lot of fun with you too.
Yes.
And thank you guys for, I know we didn't get to many comments, but I think I got to just about all the questions. I did see a few other questions, but they had already been answered through other things. So that's why I didn't pull those up. Thank you, Mike. Great show, ladies. Thanks for hosting.
Oh, thank you,
Jennifer Bella.
Yeah, this is so great. Yeah, I
Hope
really enjoyed it.
put a tooth there to celebrate you and tooth cleaning.
Oh, Hope, I love you.
All right, we will see you guys August 1st. Be there, be square, be hoolier. And I love
Might
you.
have some tomatoes to taste test. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely will. We definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. See you next month. Love you, Jen.
Oh, thanks for coming tonight.
Peace, love. Get your gratitude on. Go grow tomatoes.
And enjoy your day.
There you go. Bye, everybody.